can I just show you what my old friends at NBC are now suggesting you do when it comes to masking? This is a clip from the Today Show, soundbite 6.
They go all the way over your head. Not the most comfortable, but very, very snug. Not a lot of air is getting in between the sides of my cheeks or the tops of my cheeks. He says, obviously, the KN95, N95 are the most effective, but it can be really hard to find them in small kid sizes. And also, to keep them on your kids all day, they're not the most comfortable. So the second best option is to make sure you have a kid-size surgical mask, and you want to layer the cloth mask over that mask. So the surgical mask goes on first, and then the cloth mask.
I got a lot easier way for these experts to give this recommendation. Just hold your breath, ladies. Just hold it. Just hold your breath.
Stop with the breathing.
Corona. I promise you won't get corona. Just hold it until you pass out.
I mean, how dystopian, right? Like how dystopian. We're like, all right, well, now we got the perfect solution to this. We got more kid-sized masks and put them in 2. And, it's just so much performative theater in this. We have known.
It's like, tell me you've never been around small children.
Right.
Tell me you've been.
Right.
And we've been like, oh, your kid will wear this all day long.
Yeah. My 2-year-old, I have a 2.5-year-old. My 2.5-year-old's going to wear 2 masks, let alone 1. No. And we know from the science, as the liberals who say they want us to trust the science and follow the science, that COVID isn't as dangerous to little kids.
And along those lines, I think it's very important. We've seen a ton of polling that's come out about viewpoints for what COVID is like by partisan lines. And they polled Democrats, and 50% of Democrats think that if you contract COVID, you're going to the emergency room.
Oh, like, gracious.
This is like, where has this delusion come from? And the fact that it continues to be fostered that like it's a death sentence. And only recently they're having to change that because Omicron is so transmissible that it's no longer something that they can blame as a moral failure of these rubes.
Right, but it's becoming the security with the kids especially, which I think is the most egregious thing in all of this. It's becoming part. Remember the shoe bomber on the airplane? And then we suddenly had to take off our shoes everywhere at TSA. Yeah. Right. And now the security theater of COVID is let's double mask the kids who are, based on the statistics, not going to be hospitalized and not die from this.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's perfect. Right.
It's just obscene. It's just psychosis that we're dealing with.
It is.
There was a New York Times reporter. I'm trying to find it here, but national education reporter for the New York Times, Dana Goldstein, who tweeted out, "Our pre-K wants kids." Okay, first of all, leave. Our pre-K wants kids in KN95 masks. My 4-year-old has a tiny face. And everywhere I am checking is sold out. Help, links, and Bethany Mendel, who you guys know, she's great. She responded, every 4-year-old has a tiny face that shouldn't be in a medical grade mask or any mask. And she goes on from there. But yes, there's a reason you can't find those because no one in their right mind thought of putting them on little children to prevent them from getting COVID.
And that's another thing is that the United States is the only Western country that's requiring children to be masked. This is not happening in France, England, and no other country has a position in place that 3-year-olds should be masked. And more recently, I saw in New York City, you had kids out in 34-degree weather eating their lunch, sitting on the floor outside.
We're committing child abuse to virtue signal
daily.
Right now. That's what's happening in this country.
Well, Megyn, we talked with several months back. I know somebody you've had on as well, Dr. Marty McCary, who was talking about sort of the ancillary problems that you create with this masking. Even if you're trying to solve the problem of corona, let's hypothetically suggest that it works. It doesn't. We already know it. Let's say it doesn't. The ancillary problem that you have with emotional development with children, not being able to read their friends' faces, not being able to understand when their teachers are happy, angry, want them to try harder at something. There's no emotional IQ development whatsoever. And so, look, the problem that you are creating in many, many ways is 1,000 times worse than any problem that you sought to solve in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand, from my standpoint as a parent with 2 young boys, it's not difficult to understand. Just take a step back and look at it. And you're like, oh yeah, logically that makes total sense. These idiots can't do that.
No, we're in a situation now where if you can get past the teachers union and actually get the doors of your school open, then you get there and you're behind plexiglass and you're 6 feet away from everyone there. And you're now going to have to wear double masks or a KN95 mask. And then you will be sit and told that you're terrible because of your skin color if you happen to be white, or incapable of achieving success on your own if you happen to be black. That's the state of America's education system right now.
Also, I read a really interesting article recently about those KN95 masks where Amazon, other retailers have been flooded with these fake bootleg masks, which are manufactured in China, which is the country whose government covered up this disease at the global pandemic. Every country on earth has to deal with the cover up to begin with. The money's going right back.
Unbelievable.
Can I tell you something? I didn't know the difference between the N95 and the KN95. I just looked it up. Do you guys know the difference? Like, apparently there's
supposedly the KN95 is a Korean manufactured masks, which have not passed the same U.S. like NIOSH testing. But
they say that the fit on the KN95. They say that the fit on the KN95 has to be built in. Like, you might not get as good a fit, I guess, on the N95. I don't know, but there are people who are studying this and who are actually ordering KN95s over the N95s because they think they're going to get some extra layer of protection, like as if the N95 wouldn't be good enough for you and your child. And that brings me to, do we have Nicole Wallace? Do we have that?
Oh boy.
My favorite soundbite of the week.
This will be great.
Favorite soundbite of the week. And just listen.
I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent. I buy KN95 masks by the, caseload. They're in every pocket. I wear them everywhere except when I sit down. And I am certain that this is not a variant I can outrun.
Okay. I love except when I sit down, because COVID only affects the standers. That's a long,
right, as we all know,
known truth.
Like the policy in a restaurant where you wear the mask until you get to the table and sit next to people and then you take it off.
Thank God I'm sitting again. It can't get me.
It's a perfect example of the liberal psychosis that COVID has created, that she feels like she has to spend a full minute with a wind up explaining all of her virtue of how she did all the right things.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like, I was one of the good ones. I'm not one of these rubes in the South.
Right. Like, we haven't all been going through the same thing for 2 years together. We were all in this together. Right.
Oh, we're all in it together.
She feels betrayed.
Right.
She's betrayed by the virus. She was very loyal to the Fauci, mandates and so on. And this is bullshit because she's been betrayed by COVID.